everybody, this is Stacy Rossetti, and I am back again with another Badass Women Investor. I am looking at Kendra here, and I'm excited to introduce her to everybody in the group. She is another lady out there that's just kind of rocking and rolling, and I love to hear all these lady stories. So Kendra, go ahead and tell me, introduce yourself and tell me your story.
Hey everyone, my name is Kendra Barnes. I am the founder of The Key Resource. I'm a buy and hold investor who I got my start in Washington, D.C., investing in real estate. And now I live in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm on a mission to demystify what it means to be a real estate investor and a wealth builder. Absolutely love what I do, and I cannot wait to share more.
So tell me, what do you mean by demystify? What are you talking about?
So I feel like people think when they hear the word real estate investor, they think you have to be wealthy first. And it's like, no, you don't. You can literally start with what you have right now. And so demystifying what that really means and showing people being that representation to say yes, you can be a woman and own real estate. You can be a boss woman and be a real estate investor. You can be a Black woman and be a real estate investor. So that's my passion right now. It's demystify what it means to be a boss woman investor.
Awesome. Well, I love it. And I appreciate that because a lot of people really, and I tell people all the time, it's you don't have to have a lot of money to do this. You have to have courage and grit is what you got to have.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So tell me, how did you get started?
Actually playing the game Cash Flow, which
okay.
Have you played it?
Yes. Actually, we have this game for our daughter. We have Cash Flow for kids. And so she's 5 years old. We're already making her play this game.
Yes, I love it. So my husband and I, we worked for the government. I was an international economist and he was a contract specialist working for the government, making good money. We had never considered real estate investing in a million years, not because we didn't think we could. We just never thought of it. It's you go to school, you get a degree, you get married, buy a house, and then you work until you're 70, right? That's what we were doing. And then one day my aunt invited us to play this game called Cash Flow. We played it on a Saturday. And I think by Monday we were looking for our first rental property because it clicked. In order to win that game, you have to have passive income. And the only passive income in that game that actually moves the needle was real estate. You're not going to win cash flow if you don't own real estate.
Yeah.
And so we said, wait a minute, if we can't win this fictitious game, it really mimicked life. It really it kind of reminded you of your everyday kind of bills and things like that. So we said, if you need real estate in this game, we probably need to own some real estate in real life. And at the time we owned our personal home, but no investment. We were not investing at all, not at all. And so that's kind of what got the ball rolling.
So what kind of first of all, for people that don't know what cash flow is, kind of tell a little bit about what it is so people know.
Yeah, it is a board game that is similar to Monopoly, but it really mimics life a lot better because you have student loans and things like that. The object of the game is to get out of the rat race of life. And so the rat race could be working your 9 to 5, living paycheck to paycheck, being burdened by debt. To get out of that rat race, you have to invest. And then once you invest, you make passive income. And if you make enough passive income, you can actually live your dream life.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yeah. So it is a great game. And actually a lot of people learn how to invest, or they don't learn how to invest, so they get started in real estate and investing just because of this game. So it's really made a huge impact on a lot of people that I know. Okay, good. So tell me okay, so after the game, you're okay, great. Now I need to go start investing. What happened and how did you get started?
Yeah, so we start looking at properties. We found a duplex in Washington, D.C. So it was a 2-unit apartment building, right? And we didn't even know what we were doing, but we're the mortgage is about $1,000 a month. There was a tenant in one side paying $1,100 a month and the other side was empty. So we said, well, shoot, we're breaking even and we don't even have a tenant in the other side yet. So this should be good, right? Then, we talked to a lender and the lender told us the down payment was going to be $57,000. And we're we don't have $57,000 because we hadn't been saving to invest. We had been taking vacations and just living it up. And so we ended up pulling the money for the down payment. We ended up pulling that money from our retirement account in the form of a loan. So we didn't take any early withdrawals. We took a loan from our retirement account to afford the down payment, which I will pause and say if anyone listening decides to use that method, please consult with a financial advisor. This is not investment advice. Make sure the numbers work for you. It worked beautifully for us because we were able to make more money with that money in that investment property than it was making in that retirement account. But yeah, we were like, all right, let's pull the money from our retirement account. We bought that property and we just got addicted from there.
So did you so essentially when you borrowed that money from your retirement account, did you just roll it over to like a self-directed account and then just like purchase it that way? Or did you just say, okay, no, I'm going to take this loan and then just give it directly to the bank?
Yeah. So for our particular retirement account, it was called a Thrift savings plan with the government. And we took the loan. They got the money to us in like 48 hours, like in our bank accounts. And then we used that for the down payment. And then you basically are paying yourself back with interest. Okay. And we had 5 years to pay it back. And that's how it worked for our particular process. So it was really easy.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, some 401ks or some retirement accounts, they don't allow to do that. So I highly recommend that everybody just, educate themselves on how to utilize your retirement account for real estate. Yeah. Which is like a huge topic in the real estate investing world. So when you get into it and really start learning about it, you'll definitely learn about it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So you got this duplex. Why were you in Washington, D.C.? Because I think, don't you live in San Antonio? So tell us how did that work?
Yeah, we lived in DC because we were working for the government. We both had, I had finished my master's, we finished school, we got jobs in DC, and we lived in DC for like 10 years. We just moved to San Antonio because we had a baby. So, and right before the pandemic, we moved here to be closer to family because we're like, we need a support system.
I get that. Yeah. How old is your child?
She's 2 now.
She's 2. Okay. All right. Yeah. I have a 5-year-old, so I totally get that. And we're by ourselves too in Georgia. It's a lot of work taking care of a kid by yourself. Whew. Even with the support system, it's a lot of work. So
it is.
I get that. Okay. So now you're in, so you've been in Washington, we were Washington, D.C. for 10 years. What kind of like investments did y'all do while y'all were there?
So we've only done buy and holds. We've owned multi-units, single family. We own a condo in Baltimore. And so, yeah, we've only done buy and hold investing, but we've done as far as rental strategies, we've done Airbnb, we've done Section 8, we've done your regular long-term tenant, we've done travel nurse rentals. And so I'm always the kind of person who I'm like, if you have more than one rental property, diversify that income. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And even if you do find yourself having multiple rental properties and you have all the same kind of rental income, just make sure that before you buy that property, make sure that you can easily pivot if you had to. If you buy a property that's great for Airbnb, what if Airbnb doesn't work out? Could you still make enough money and be profitable with it as a Section 8 rental or a travel nurse rental or student housing? I think people, and this is something I didn't know, on that first rental we bought, that first duplex, I didn't think about any other scenarios. I'm like, it must be a good deal, right? But make sure that you can easily pivot, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how the first time I bought a storage facility, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to just buy it and see what happens. Now I do not recommend that a lot with my students. I say, you should really educate yourself on how to do everything, how to run numbers and stuff like that. But you just got to get your foot in the door. And what I love is that y'all just kind of took a chance. I mean, a lot of people, they can't even get out there and get it done. You know what I'm saying? So.
But you know why, though? I mean, I think in this day and age, and I'm talking this was 2013. Back then, people didn't really have podcasts like yours. Information was not as accessible. We have Instagram. People are sharing their stories on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And so now the information is there's so much information that people are starting out better than we did, right? Because they have access to so much, but it also puts them in this place where they're in analysis paralysis. And so I think the benefit that we had was we didn't have anybody to ask. We just literally were we're going to do it. We're going to bet on ourselves. And so I think you have to find a balance between educating yourself, but also knowing that really experience is going to be your best teacher.
Exactly. I love it. So you said that you do you have rentals, you have Airbnb, you're kind of doing it all on the residential buy and hold side of all of the different ways that you do that. Kind of which ones do you like the most? I And which ones do you like? I was like, oh, this is a little bit too much work. Maybe I should do this one next time.
Right now, my favorite strategy is travel nurse rentals. I love those because it's like you get the higher rental income like you would with an Airbnb, but it's not as high maintenance as an Airbnb because travel nurses stay for 3 months at a time. So you're still renting out a furnished rental, but you're getting like that short-term rental income with like less turnover. Love that. And I would say one of the hardest rentals for us have always been the older properties. And then I think having multi-units adds another layer on there because you're managing like personalities in a building. I don't like the way this person did that, or they left the door open. And, I'm not saying that multi-units are great investments, especially for people who are just getting started and want to do what's called house hacking, which I'm sure your audience knows or you've talked about before. But if you're listening to this for the first time, you don't know what house hacking is. It's basically buying a multi-unit property, living in one unit and renting out the others. We house hacked, and it's one of the reasons why we are able to be financially free today. We ended up leaving our 9-to-5 jobs literally because we took the chance and house hacked and made the sacrifice. But long answer to your question. Basically, travel nurse rentals are my favorite for now. That's what I really get into now.
And travel nursing, honestly, that's just like a new thing over the past. I've been doing this for 10 years, and travel nursing and travel nurses and doing rentals for them has not been like a popular thing. I think that is like is that like a COVID thing? Maybe all the nurses are traveling around for COVID, or is it just like it's like so popular right now?
Yeah, I don't know. We've been doing it for like over 3 years, maybe even 4 years now. So, but way before COVID, we got into it, but it is becoming really popular now. I know I talk about it a lot, and I see people like a lot of my students and a lot of my audience, like they're like gravitating towards that too. But it's really cool.
Now, I definitely think that there's not enough Airbnbs out there, whether you do travel nurses or you just do regular Airbnb or urban Airbnb or whatever you're going to do. But like, there's just not enough. I mean, I went on to go look for like an Airbnb up here just to stay in for the weekend. I'm up in like the North Georgia area. Everything was all booked. And if it wasn't booked, it was like $3,000 a night or some ridiculous price, right? So I think we need more Airbnbs out there. We definitely need more Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So, So, okay, good. So tell me, how did that work? So are all your property, okay, so now do you have properties in Washington, D.C. and in San Antonio now?
Yes, in D.C. and Baltimore. And then in San Antonio, we just own the home that we live in, but we're in the process of trying to like start building up our portfolio here. It's just like we moved here, the pandemic hit. We were new parents. It was a lot going on. Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
We're just trying to get our bearings. And so now we feel pretty good about going ahead and get started. And one thing that I've been wanting to try is getting into like shipping container homes. And so I've been looking for land because I found a shipping container that I want to buy and do like the tiny home rental and either use it as a travel nurse rental or use it as a rental for, there's 3 military bases in San Antonio. Lots of opportunity there, but also using it as a location rental. If you think about how everyone's at home, we're all on Zoom calls, like people need quiet meeting space. They're literally paying by the hour to rent out, cute spaces, right? So they can have a nice background on their Zoom calls.
I need that.
Oh, but me too. I need that too. So I can be away from my 2-year-old. She's, screaming in the background and stuff like that. So
yes.
That's kind of what we're looking at now.
I wonder how you would advertise that, like if you had one of those, because we're like, we live in an RV and we just travel the country and, and like most of the time I can work out of my RV, but when I do podcasts or something like that, I have to have a space. And it's like, where would you go to look for that? I've been like if I do need a space, I just go to Regis and I rent like a conference room, but sometimes that's expensive.
Listen, let me tell you, it's a site called Peerspace. That's P-E-E-R, peer, as in like we're peers. Peerspace.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Okay, good. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out because like all this traveling, I've been spending a lot of money on Regis and it's getting kind of expensive.
Yeah, Peerspace is cool.
Okay, good. Awesome. So I was going to ask you, so like, since you have stuff in like Washington, D.C. and Baltimore and you're living in San Antonio, like how do you manage all that?
We actually self-manage, which sounds kind of crazy, but we like for living, since we lived in DC for so long, we have people on the ground that we trust. We have friends there. We have contractors that we know. And we just weren't able to find a property manager who was good enough for us. And so I know landlords who would never dream of self-managing, and they live in the same city as their properties. And so it's not for everybody, but it's worked for us so far.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you just self-manage. Okay, good. Okay, awesome. All right. So tell everybody, please, like where they can find you, and like kind of what you teach and things like that.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Instagram at The Key Resource. Once you find me on there, click the link in my bio. Everything you need is right there. If you heard me on this podcast, please feel free to DM me. I'd love to chat with you guys. So right now, I'm kind of like scaling back all my offerings. I'm actually working on a book. And so I am planning to release it in February. So stay tuned for that. But I have a Facebook group, a free Facebook group, great for networking if you guys want to join us there. I have a blog.
What is that called?
It's called The Key Resource Facebook group. So if you just search The Key Resource, great for networking. But yeah, I would love to chat with you guys. Come hang out with me on Instagram, show you a little behind the scenes of what I got going on and stuff like that.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming to hang out with us. And like I said, I just love women that are actually out there doing it. And I know there's guys listening to, but y'all all get out there and just take some action, get out there and look for some deals. I mean, I just read an article that said that like 15% of all properties that were purchased in the past like couple of months have all been from investors. Right. Mm. Yeah. So like there are deals out there to be found. Right. So get out there and start looking for some deals. And I'm sure you'll find some. Again, and this is the RentRedi podcast. My name is Stacy Rossetti. I'm the host of RentRedi. Make sure you check out RentRedi. It's a property management company. It's a property management software. And it's like super easy to like manage and stuff. So, and this is like fits perfectly with Kendra and her topic as well. So if you need some sort of property management software, please check out RentRedi as well too. Okay. All right. Thank you for hanging out with us. Okay.
Thank you, Stacy.
All right. Take care.